So guys, welcome back to the channel. Right here, I have the CMF by Nothing 2A Buds. These guys came out this year, actually. I think back in April, so not too far ago, but I didn't buy them at the time. I didn't even know they existed. But I happened to go into the website because I bought their watch over here, which I really like the watch. And I figured, why not try some more of their products? And this one, I mean, there's some good and there's some bad about it. We're going to talk a little bit about both. But for right now, the price tag is $49.99 for these guys. You can get them for $39 right now on Amazon, which I'll put the link in the description for anyone that's interested in the Nothing brand, these particular buds. I'm not here to discourage anybody, but I do also want to tell the truth. So the buds themselves, we have the USB-C on the side. You do have the sync button right here, in case you guys are wondering. On top of that, they don't come with much. They just have the rubber buds, which are the smalls, mediums, where they look practically the same size. I put the large on here right now because I felt like the mediums were a little bit too small. It does come with the booklet right here, which isn't really necessary because we're going to go over the application process itself, and that's where all the customization is. And it doesn't come with the charger. You heard that correctly. They do not come with the charger. Don't ask me why. I don't know. This is what the company decided to do to cheap out on their customers. So the buds themselves are actually IP54. The case is IPX2. It does have Google Fast Pair, Microsoft Swift Pair. More features, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. You do need Android 6.0 and above. Realistically, most people will have a phone at work with this, and iOS 13 and above. And realistically, if you're using iOS, as long as you have an iPhone like 11 and up, or even a 10 and up, you should be perfectly fine. Dual connection, meaning multi-point, it has it. The connection range is 10 meters, but if we break that down, it's about 33.2 feet or something like that. I forget the exact amount. Anyway, Bluetooth version 5.4. It does have a wind reduction feature. I mean, you can't exactly access it, but it's built into the buds themselves. Here's the interesting part. The talk time is only 3.5 hours with ANC on one charge, and it's 4 hours with ANC off. But the case itself can do 18.4 hours of additional talk time if you just charge the buds strictly for talking. This is how they break it down. 15.6 hours for the bud case if you're strictly talking total. Now, if you're talking about playback with music and video games and movies and things like that, you get a total of 35.5 hours, and the buds themselves, the buds themselves are 8 hours, while ANC on the buds are going to be 5 hours. So keep in mind that it's going to fluctuate between music and talk time if you use these on a regular basis. If you're using them strictly for music, you can go an entire workday with ANC off. Outside of that, what else did it really have about these buds? Oh, there's some more features. The audio codec is AAC and SBC for the person that needs to know about that. There is like an ultra bass technology feature where you can change the bass up to 5 different levels in the application. We'll talk about that. It does have transparency mode, which is a good thing. And it does have ANC in a normal mode. In addition to that, there is a custom custom IQ. There are custom drivers that are 12.4 millimeter drivers, and that's pretty much it for right now. And again, it's not bad for the asking price, but all I want to say is that it is a little lackluster overall when it comes to performance. So let's get right into how to use these and move forward because we got a lot to talk about. So first things first, I want to show you guys how to sync these buds. Now you can actually keep them inside the case when you do. Really all you have to do is lift the buds up. Normally they'll automatically be in pairing mode as soon as you open up the case. Just in case they're not, I'll show you how to repair them. So we're going to go over to the settings right here, and we're in Bluetooth right now. So I'm going to close them. Let's hit back button. I want to make sure that they stop syncing. There we go. So I'm going to open up the case, give it a couple seconds. Oh, it actually popped up. I'm going to hit new device, CMF Buds 2A pop up right here. Tap it. And I'm going to allow it to actually read my contacts and calls because I allow all my buds to do that. And that's how you sync them. Now, if you sync them once and it doesn't work, what you have to do is basically hold this button on the side right here, and it'll put the buds in pairing mode, and it'll do the Google Fast Pair if you're using an Android device like so. or I just showed you the natural way, which is going to the Bluetooth settings. Now, there is something else that we need to talk about. In order to use multipoint, you're going to have to turn your Bluetooth off on whatever device you have them synced to, repair these into a secondary device, and that is how the Bluetooth works when it comes to multipoint. But keep in mind, you have to go into the settings and turn multipoint on first before you can do any of that. So just make sure that you do that. But with that being said, very easy to sync. You shouldn't have any problems whatsoever moving forward. All right, so the buds are right here, as you can see, and they're currently connected to my device. This is how the application is actually going to work right here. Let me kind of move this to the side for you guys. So we have the name of my buds. They do tell you the battery life for the buds themselves and the case inside the application, in case anyone is wondering. I'm not too sure about the Apple side of things, but we are using Android right now. You have the option for off, you have transparency mode, and then you do also have noise cancellation right here. See where it says ultra bass? You can actually turn this off if you choose to, but if you decide to turn it on, you do have 5 levels of bass, though when you initially first use the buds, it's going to automatically be on level 3. Now, what is this for? It's so that the person that wants a deeper bass quality, you can definitely do that. Of course, it does work with the equalizer with your phone too, so customization does work in that regard, but this is the application itself. We also have the default controls, which I'm going to show you that right now, which you have a left tap and a right tap. So you be tapping on each one. That is how you activate each one right here. And this little circle that you see right here is actually the touch controls, so keep that in mind. So right here you have double taps, triple taps, tap and hold, and then double tap and hold. So if you hit double tap, you have pause and play, skip back, skip forward, voice assistance, no extra action, meaning you have the ability to actually turn it off where the bud does nothing. Though when it comes to actually hanging up calls and stuff, those are always going to be the same. Where you tap it, it'll actually answer. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the right side. And I normally use no extra action, but just to show you, these are the customization right here. We're going to go over to the next section, which is going to be triple taps. Skip backwards, pretty much the same thing right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn it off. Personally, I don't care to use those. You have tap and hold. Same options. Well, no, the options are a little bit different. I'm sorry, for tap and hold. You have noise controls, transparency, noise cancellation, and off. So when it comes to tap and hold, you also have voice assistant. So when it comes to tap and hold, it actually allows you to change the features of the headset in terms of, well, you already seen it, noise control, and that's pretty much it. So that's catered to that one. And then we have double tap and hold right here, which is volume up, volume down. Double tap and hold seems like a lot to do, to be honest with you. And it's already on no action. So I guess this is something that you need to change yourself. Double tapping and holding seems to be like a harder command in my opinion, because all touch controls aren't really that great. These work pretty well for the most part, the touch controls. But again, I'm not really a huge fan of that. Anyway, over here, we have the equalizer, which is obviously important. So you have the direct setting right here. You have pop, rock, electronic, enhanced vocals, classical. So it only seems to be 6 equalizers. And then if you hit custom, you do have the option to actually customize these the way that you want to, where higher bass and things, tremble, and mids. And to be honest with you, even though this seems like it's simplified, this is actually a very easy equalizer to use. I like it personally because most of them have the little scrolls that go up and down, which is perfectly fine. I feel like they did take a little bit of the customization away from you in that regard, where they should have just had a regular equalizer, but this works perfectly fine. I think that the person out there that uses this is going to probably have a little bit of fun customizing it this way, just kind of making a sound jump. But the traditional equalizer overall is better than this one. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it on direct because it's not bad in that regard. Device settings right here. We have a low lag mode, which helps with the gaming experience. It does work very, very well. But to be honest, I haven't had any disconnectivity issues whatsoever with these buds. That's a good thing. The Bluetooth is pretty decent Bluetooth, so you don't really have to use that mode. You have dual connection right here, which you can turn this on, obviously, and it lets you know which devices you currently have connected. And remember, I told you guys how to actually sync this. You turn off your current Bluetooth that you have synced, you put them back in pairing mode, paired to the second device, and it'll show the devices in the settings which ones these are allowed to switch between for multi-point. So keep that in mind. And then you have Find My Earbuds right here. Let me see if it plays. It's not super loud. Yeah. So it does play like a little jingle, but you have to be in the vicinity. Honestly, I think these jingles should be a whole lot louder so you can actually hear it. But that is pretty low. So if you're in a quiet area, an office or something like that, you lost it near your desk or you lost them at home and you're sitting in the same room, you should be able to hear this jingle. But if they're in a couch or something, I did test it out myself. It's pretty low and it's going to be a little hard to find your buds. But outside of that, that pretty much seems to be the customization. I think there's a little bit more. Let me just double check with the face up here. Yeah, okay, here we go. So there are some settings up here for themes and push notifications, not really important. You do have the option to actually update the buds themselves. I'm sorry. You have the option to update the application through the settings, and they will give you support. I can't tell you how many years of support you're going to get for the buds, but realistically, it's not going to get much better than what you're seeing right now. So this is the full customization for the person that needed to see this. They're not bad, but you could definitely tell that they skimped on some of the features that other buds have, and that's not really a good thing, especially when you have such a huge market of buds and options to choose from overall. So there's two things we need to talk about when it comes to the music quality. One is going to be, I guess you can say, the performance for the average person, and the other one's going to be for the enthusiast. So let's do the average person first. If you unbox these headphones, I do think that if you're listening to them strictly for music and video, that it's going to play very well. You're not going to notice a lot of the things that I'm going to mention until I probably mention it, especially if you're not coming from AirPods or Galaxy Buds or something really, really high end. You're not going to notice this. So the first thing is going to be, I do feel like the bass isn't super punchy. It does work well. Yeah, I played Juice WRLD, a bunch of different songs for System of a Down, and just a bunch of different artists. And while it did sound good, I didn't notice that the bunch isn't super deep. Like, it feels like it stays the same no matter what song you play. Granted, you can change this with the equalizer and make it a lot better. So for the person out there that likes the equalizer, then you're good to go. You could disregard what I said. The second thing is, I do feel like the quality of the music, the instruments in the background, the vocals, and the bass overall, it's like there's a light film over it, where it doesn't sound like it's hi-fi or high quality drivers. Like, you could tell that they put together a decent headset where if you turn up the volume or you turn it down, I don't hear any sound breakage or anything like that. So they got that perfected. That's cool. But the problem is, like, again, I have to compare them to, let's say, the JLab Air Go Pods, for example. The quality of that was very, very clear. And that's not considered a high-end headset. It's just that when you watch a TV, for example, and you use the HDMI, all HDMIs aren't created equally. One might help your game run smoother than the other. You'll still get a great experience and clarity and things like that, but it does matter what parts you put in the device. And I do feel like it's a little bit cloudy. And that's why I say, for the music enthusiast or a person that buys JLabs and JBuds and JBLs and Soundcores and things like that, Soundpeats, you're going to notice that those headphones are going to have a much sharper and more concise profile than this one. They all have their own particular sound, but none of the brands that I just mentioned has a light film over it where it's like, you can tell, like, I don't know what it is. It's like if you put a piece of plastic over a speaker, kind of. The speaker can still perform admirably, but you notice that there's something in the way of stopping the maximum quality. Now, granted, I haven't used any of the OnePlus high-end buds that they sell, which I'm assuming they probably take care of this problem. And I'm assuming that this is just a mid-tier problem where they give a little bit less performance for the people that want to pay less money, which I'm not surprised about that. But if you're selling these earphones for $49.99 on sale for $39 online on Amazon, that $50 price tag, there's a lot of devices that you can get within that $50 that's going to outperform this in terms of quality of music, ANC, and transparency mode. It's not super powerful. So, you know, if you're not going to be a jack of all trades, you can't be below other brands overall in quality. Again, these are good buds. Don't get me wrong. If you buy them, I think whoever uses them are going to like them, especially with the IP ratings for the case, IP ratings for the earbuds themselves. Overall, it's not a bad package, but as a reviewer, I am noticing that it's missing a lot that other buds offer regular. It's like they're not putting as much time into the quality of their drivers. And these will be 12.4 drivers or millimeter drivers or something. So kind of keep that in mind if you're watching this part. My suggestion is to look at other reviews also and listen to what other people have to say about it. But me personally, I don't feel like it's super punchy. It's not super bassy. It's very lackluster, especially as a rocker that loves to be able to just headbang and listen to certain music. It's missing something. So if we're just talking about the quality of the ANC on these buds, it's not that great. To be honest with you, I used $30 earbuds from J Labs. I used different Soundcores and Soundpeats products. And when you're selling something for $50, you're in the middle point for mid-tier. I think mid-tier is about $30, $29 to about $70. Even though that is a huge jump, that is the middle ground. And to be honest with you, the ANC can be a whole lot better. I don't know why they didn't add more to this. When you have an oversaturated market full of headphones out there with a bazillion companies making products, you kind of want to stand out. And ANC on this does not do that. Now, let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. I'm trying to use this example. Let's say I'm in the shower, right? Or the shower water is running. It doesn't actually block out the sound of the water. It just makes it a little bit lighter. So it feels like your volume is turned down in real life from 50% to about 20%. And granted, that does work very well for everyday average people. I do think that if you use this ANC, it's not so powerful that you can't hear anything around you. So that's a plus size. It does actually lower the volume. But for that person that's looking for like a more enveloped feeling of just aloneness, it's not that powerful. But it's not bad. That's why I say there's good and bad to this headset. It's just that I've dealt with so many, it's hard for me to really recommend these. Now, when it comes to transparency mode, that works perfectly fine. I don't have any issues. I was able to hear conversations and things with these earbuds in my ears, so that works perfectly fine. And when it comes to normal mode, normally when headphones seal the ear very well, it still blocks out a lot of that noise. I had to actually change the rubber tips on these buds because I felt like the mediums were too small for the shape of these particular buds. And when I did switch them over to the large, it did do a better job of sealing in noise. And it made the noise cancellation actually work a lot better than initially outside of the box because I'm all messed up about to go to work. But anyhow, the point is that it's average, nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to the ANC. And to be honest, we've reached a point where you can find cheaper products that give you better performance. And this isn't enough, in my opinion, to kind of take over the market. They'll get some sales, absolutely. I do like the buds, don't get me wrong. But the fact that they took away the in-ear detection alone, it's just like, you're taking away the reasons why I liked your buds in the first place. They were never the best out of the category, but now you're making them worse on purpose, kind of. This right here is going to be a sound sample of the buds and how they sound while recording. I am currently using the Samsung recorder. For anyone that is interested in how I did this, you go to the settings and you set it where Bluetooth microphone if available, and the phone will actually let you know that you're recording with whatever buds that you currently have connected to the phone. And again, CMF by Nothing 2A buds. This is the level of quality that you're going to get when it comes to recordings. I am currently indoors, so keep that in mind. And if you're outside, you're going to hear a lot of the noises, the wind blowing, and many different things. I'm not going to say that these perform super, super well, like underground with trains. They don't. More so like you're in quiet locations, offices. If you're walking outside, going for a little brisk walk, they work perfectly fine. But if the wind starts picking up, if the rain is outside and things like that, you do notice that the quality suffers and dips a little bit, as most headphones do for the most part. But these in particular, they're not the clearest, but you know, it's not terrible for the asking price either. So if we're just talking about overall quality for these buds, to be honest, there are better buds for 50 bucks. But I will say that this does offer a lot, kind of. Let me explain. So you do have IP in the buds themselves. You have IP for the case itself. Most cases are not IP rated. So a person out there that may get this case splashed or a little bit wet, they'll be perfectly fine. And that alone will save some people a lot of trouble with buying new earbuds. The battery life is pretty much on par with most other earbuds, which I think is a good thing. You know, the talk time isn't that great, about 4.5 hours or so, but the listening time is 8 without ANC. We talked about that earlier in that section of the video, which was the opening. You do have dual connection, so you have the multi-point for these buds, which is also a good thing. The case is pretty sturdy for the most part. I don't think this is going to break inside anyone's book bag. You could just toss this in. You don't have to worry about it getting crushed, because I do feel like the quality of this is decent enough for the case. It's not a bad case at all. Unfortunately, the music quality is a little lackluster. The bass isn't super great. Even with the bass features, it's just not really there. ANC isn't bad, but you could tell that it's not even close to being stronger than a lot of the other earbuds in the same weight category. Though, what I will say is that with a weaker ANC, sad I have to say this, the suction is not as strong, so you'll have less earache overall. Some people don't like ANC because it's so strong in certain buds. This one, trust me, you'll be able to take it without a problem. At one point, I had to adjust the buds because I felt like the ANC wasn't quite like it didn't block out a lot of the sound. So I had to actually switch the rubber tip right here to make it larger so that it'll actually seal the sound. And I got to be honest, it does work, but it's not that great. Transparency mode is okay. You do have customization of the buds, which isn't bad either. So overall, again, the package for 50 bucks, it's reasonably priced. But unfortunately, we have buds like this online for sale for $20, $30 stuff. The A30s, substantially better bass. It's not even close. Better quality sound also. Better around the board altogether. Right here, you have the JLabs. And I thought I would never say this about JLabs, but JLab Go Pods. I think I paid like $30 for them online. I forget the regular price, but I end up getting these sent to me. USB cable is built in. The case is even smaller. It's more portable. Like, it's all about personal preference, obviously, but it just goes to show that there are other buds out there, and these don't have all those features. But look how small these are. These are $39.99 normally, and to be honest, I think this has a better sound profile than this one. So again, at the end of the day, it's all about your personal preference. If I'm a CMF user, I think these buds are good enough because you may have the watch like I have over here. But if I'm not a CMF user and there's no special features because I'm using their product, I would suggest something else for $50. For 50 bucks, you could get 2 pairs of headphones online, and I can suggest on Amazon right now that's going to outperform this in practically every category. But I will say the Bluetooth connectivity has been great. I've had any issues with it whatsoever. When you charge the buds, they charge at the same time the way they're supposed to. So one bud is at 90%, the other bud isn't at 100. I will say that quality of life features are decent on these buds, but the music is a little lackluster, gotta be honest. And if that's what you're using it for, you might want to second guess buying these. Anyway, like and subscribe like always. Like I said before, the link is in the description for the person that's still interested in the buds and say, I want to give them a shot. I think you'll like them. They're not horrible. But again, as a reviewer that uses so many buds, I'll just tell you now, they're not the best performing buds in terms of music quality that I have had in the last probably 6 months. Got to be honest with you. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care. Peace.